Hey, what is up guys? So we're going to be doing a deck profile on a Volcanic deck that did relatively well at YCS Charleston. Now this one was piloted by Sorab Pasakani. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. I'll explain the choices pretty much after we go through the profile, because I know some people just want a net deck and they don't know how to do the YDK file. But if you're just here to net deck, I'll put the link down below in the description box for the drop box, and you go ahead and download it really quick. But man, let me just show you this really cool combo, because I talked about this last month and I was like, this thing has some potential. I'll put the video also down below in the description box if you guys want to understand how the deck plays. But this card over here, Volcanic Scattershot, Regekis your opponent's field, and then they also take 1500 points of damage, and you get to basically draw a card. It's just like, what has Yu-Gi-Oh become now? But anyways, if you guys want to check out the full video, like I said, I'll put a link down below in the description box. But anyways, the deck is relatively good. If you want to briefly understand how the deck plays, it comes down to kind of a burn-based deck, but then it also is a deck where if you basically get to poke once or twice, you basically have an easier way to just seal the deal in the game. And also has basically 3 copies of Pot of Avarice. And the deck is, I would say, relatively budget friendly. Of course, you don't have to play like the stuff in the extra deck, because you very rarely make anything. The most important card there is probably Cowboy and Heartland Draco, just so you get that like one attack in, and then maybe just get that like burn in sometimes to make a game. Vanity's Emptiness, you can definitely play the deck without, of course, but it all depends on what you're playing against also. But anyways, let's go around the deck profile. So first off, we got 1 copy of Blaster, 3 copies of Volcanic Rocket, 3 copies of Royal Firestorm Guards, 2 Summoner Monk, 1 Volcanic Counter, 3 Volcanic Scattershots, 3 Volcanic Shells, 2 Magic Planter, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Duality, 3 MST, 1 Wildfire, 1 Snatch Steal, 3 Reckless Greed, 1 Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, 3 Vanity's Emptiness, 3 Fiendish Chain, and 3 Blaze Accelerator Reload. As far as the extra deck, it's pretty much irrelevant, like I mentioned before. I mean, if this card can come in handy, definitely, but like I said, you could pretty much play the deck without the extra deck, as you'll watch from the video. You don't really need most of them, but like I said, the important cards might be something like Cowboy. Lavalval Chain can help out the deck, but like I said, it can be a budget-friendly deck if you just like don't play some of these cards. And then Excite Tonight always can be a good card, but it's kind of expensive. I don't know if I consider this a budget-friendly card, but like I said, you can play the deck without the extra deck. As far as the side deck, he's playing 3 copies of Max C, 1 Mind Crush, 2 Ojama Trio, 1 Magic Cylinder, 3 Fairy Wind, 2 Imperial Iron Wall, and 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors. And anyways, let's go and explain the choices real quick from what I understand from, well, I watched his like video talking about it. But anyways, I don't know if he has a YouTube channel, but I will put a link down below in the description box also to give him credit if I actually find out that he actually has a YouTube channel. But anyways, Blaster is pretty self-explanatory. You get to ditch a card. It's important to ditch certain cards in this deck. For example, like Volcanic Shell, that's an important card to discard, because you don't really want it in your hand. You want to like try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. It just lets you cycle out your deck as fast as possible. Then you can activate the multiple Reckless Greeds and then pretty much draw into a bunch of free cards that you can actually utilize after you send a bunch of cards to the graveyard from the effect of the Blaze Accelerator Reload. But this card also just lets you like attack sometimes just to get over like a problematic card. There's 3 copies of Volcanic Rocket, because after it's summoned, and that means normal or specials, that's why Summoner Monk is essentially there. You get to add Blaze Accelerator Reload, that's pretty much the only thing you add. And then after that, he's pretty much just a 1900 beater, which is still pretty good. And then 3 Royal Firestorm Guards. This card is crazy. When it is normal summon, you get to target 4 Pyro-type monsters in your graveyard, shuffle 4 back into the deck, and then draw 2 cards. It's just like, you get to reset your whole play of getting a Regeki, and then you get to draw 2 cards. And I'm like, that's crazy. You need to play 3 copies, plus it has decent attack too. So the main play in the deck revolves around basically sending 3 of these back, then the rest of the cards, whatever. But the most important thing is you send 3 of these back. You don't always have to send Volcanic Shell back. Keep in mind that sometimes you can put this back in your deck. Maybe you have a Summoner Monk, keep that in mind as well. But this card is basically what runs the deck. And then 2 copies of Summoner Monk, like I said, it just gets this card out faster. And then 1 Volcanic Counter, it's just extra burn damage. This is burn damage plus a Regeki. This is basically free fodder cards for not only your other cards, like Blaze Accelerator Reload, but it just gives you extra cards in your hand. You have Wind Blast to also discard with, and just get it into the graveyard as quickly as possible. And then 2 Magic Planter, because there's a lot of continuous stuff in the deck. So you can, I mean, you're going to have Blaze Accelerator Reload. And then Fiendish Chain makes it so you get free draws after your Fiendish Chain already got its effect. So it's like Effect Veiler, but then you get to actually draw some cards off of it. And then there's Foolish Burial, because you can send this, or, you know, depending on the right circumstance, maybe you want to send Blaster, you know. There could be times for that. Then 3 Duality is pretty self-explanatory. There's very, very little special summoning in the deck. It pretty much just comes down to Blaster and Summoner Monk to bring out this card. There's also Wildfire that can special summon, but it's pretty much not going to like really hurt, because you're going to usually Wildfire on your opponent's turn anyways. So if you guys know what this does, I think this card's kind of cool. So anyways, you pay 500 life points, you destroy face-up Blaze Accelerator card you control, and destroy all monsters on the field. Then you get to special summon a Wildfire token that has 1,000 attack, and you can't declare an attack this turn. It's irrelevant. Like I said, you're going to activate it on your opponent's turn. So you're going to be able to be like, oh, I get rid of all your monsters. Maybe they also happen to take 1,500 earlier on in the game, and then the board's open. Your turn comes around, you have this card. You get to attack for 17, you get to attack for another 1,000, and they've already taken 1,500 points of damage. So a lot of damage over there. You do have to pay 500. Sometimes it can make a difference between winning and losing. Snatch Steal, oh my gosh, if you draw Snatch Steal in this deck, it's so much advantage, it's crazy. Because they need to get rid of this card, but then at the same time, you could just activate it. So sometimes when they blind MST, it's just like, oh, you don't really get that much advantage. Because this card also has another effect, which we'll get into later, but Reckless Greed, self-explanatory. Wind Blast, this is the card that you usually want to discard. And then 3 Vanity's Emptiness, because you very rarely special summon in the deck, and it kind of prevents other decks from functioning. And then 3 Phoenix Chain. If they've already special summoned their, you know, strong monster, just Phoenix Chain it. Then 3 Blaze Accelerator, which basically runs the deck. So it counts as Tri-Blaze Accelerator, and then during either player's main phase, you can send 1 Volcanic card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, you get to draw a card. And you can only use that effect once per turn, and then during either player's main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to send 1 Volcanic card from your deck to the graveyard. So a lot of free advantage, it's draw power, it's cycling through cards, and of course, like you saw in the video, this is what you send 99% of the time, and then you get to blow up your opponent's entire board, and then you get to inflict 1,500 points of damage, and then you want to recycle the play all over again. And as far as the extra deck, there's not really anything I feel like we really need to mention. I mean, sometimes you can Snatch Steal if you're wondering, like, what the heck is, you know, Downer Magician. If you Snatch Steal something, or if the off chance they give you something, and you want to just, like, you know, kind of get rid of it in a sense, or make it so you won't be giving them the card back, because maybe they're going to draw MSC later or something. You just Downer it on top of it. But the cards, like I mentioned before, that I think are kind of important, it just really comes down to being able to just like deal extra damage. Luck Triple Coin also is relatively cheap too. Cowboy obviously got reprinted, so I think like these cards right here are kind of the more important ones. This one does have to declare an attack, but for the most part this does too. But these two are, like, I would say the most important. This could also definitely help you out too. But for the most part, you don't too often make cards in this, other than with like Summoner Monk and Volcanic Rocket. After that though, this card usually dies. It's only 1,700, but of course if you have to have the play, you recycled your play, you can blow up their board, you know, again, and then inflict another 1,500. As far as a side deck, because, you know, this was a YCS, if you guys are wondering maybe some of his side deck choices, like where's the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, he mentioned he preferred Light Imprisoning Mirror because if they can't activate Dante's effect, it hurts Burning Abyss. This was for Infernoids, but that deck didn't really do too well. That's obviously versus any Pendulum deck, and as well as like anything that has a lot of stuff that you can pop. Like, well, Fire Fist did get 3 Wolf Bark, but you know, the deck hasn't been really doing so hot. I think the deck's decent though. Magic Cylinder, he liked this against Cleese. He mentioned Enojama Trio is really good against Cleese, as well as the Burning Abyss, because they're like, oh man, can't get rid of it, it's too strong, and they can't tribute, because sometimes when you flying see them, they go ahead and summon Majesty's Fiend or Vandy's, and then you have problems then. But Mind Crushing, a lot of deck search now. Nexus obviously versus Burning Abyss, and then anything that, of course, you know, normal summons and then special summons, like several hundred times, like, you know, let's say Plant Synchro. Not that that's relevant, but I mean, for the meta, it's just bring. Well, against Shadalls, it's also good because sometimes they might not want to OTK. I think it's great against heroes. Also, you know, before you know, they go for the Dark Law play, you can at least, you know, it's almost like an Upstart Goblin in a sense. But this deck, guys, just as a heads up, don't play Upstart Goblin in the deck, because like I said, it is a burn deck. I saw a build, someone was like, dude, what do you think of my Volcanics? And I remember seeing Upstart Goblin like, no, you don't want to add Upstart in this. I know it adds consistency, but the thing is, this is a burn deck, and every amount of life points that they're playing, especially against Cleese, you can definitely wreck them. I've seen Cleese lose a lot to, like, just the Constellar, the Sham, no, not Constellar, the Teller Knight Sham, yeah, those, that can wreck them pretty hard, because they just pay so many life points. But anyways, credit, like I said, goes to Sohrab Pasakani, and if you guys want to check out the full duel, basically it's you'll understand the concept of the deck from that specific video, which we talked about last month. But yeah, there's also a boss Volcanic card coming out later. I feel like the deck is just short, maybe a few more cards of being like really, really good. But I don't remember that name of the Volcanic card. It's supposed to be some Volcanic boss monster. If someone, because I looked for it. I don't know if they changed the name of it or if that card was just like from the anime and it was just never getting printed and they removed it. But I remember seeing a Volcanic like new boss monster and it wasn't Doomfire. It was some other card and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. But anyways, if you guys know the name of the card or know what happened to it, because I remember seeing it on DevPro and it was really, really good. But I totally forgot its name and I can't find it again. But yeah, this deck is looking pretty good. Like I said, guys, try it out yourself. Like I said, you can build it as like a budget-friendly deck. Just like, you know, take out some of the stuff that you consider expensive. Maybe you don't have some of these cards. Level chain, like I said, you only really exceed like maybe once in the duel, and at that point, I would pretty much. Like first turn, you don't really need to go for the Level Chain. Heck, I'd first turn go for Cowboy, get some burn in, or maybe you can go for Black Ship of Corn, just get that burn damage, maybe that face up like hand. Very good card against the hands. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes signing out.